Hi everyone, Chris back, Suffolk record collector, with another video of vinyl finds. There's some great stuff here, and I have found a Grail, well for me a Grail, which people say a Grail, but I've been looking for this for many years, and I've only seen a couple of copies, and they've been rough, but I have found an absolute gorgeous copy of this record. So let's get started, and I shall start off with the Grail, shall we? Okay, and it is the Glastonbury Fair album from 1972, which is a triple album in beautiful condition, and this is an original from 72. I don't know if you're aware, but this folds out. This is a big fold out. If I can show you without trying to. Can you see all of that? Just about, can't you? And the other side. This is just in lovely condition. A lot of the time it's ripped. It gets ripped and it's not very good. It came in its original bag, which is another rare thing. You don't see it in this bag all the time. This is the original bag that tells you what's on here, and I'll put it the right way up for you. And it says here $3.99 for a triple record. You know, it was a long time ago, isn't it? Huh? Anyway, bands on here. You've got the Grateful Dead, Mighty Baby, Brinsley Schwarz, Mark Bolan, Pete Townsend, David Bowie, Hawkwind, Skin Alley, Gong, Pink Fairies, and Edgar Broughton. And this is just a fantastic album of music from that era that were at festivals, and some of it is recorded at Glastonbury, a lot of it isn't, but they're all bands who have appeared at that sort of time at Glastonbury. It's on the original labels. This has been reissued, but this is a first pressing, and it came also, what I was really impressed, it's got all of the original pamphlets and that in it. Here's the cutout that you would have made a pyramid, or a bloody pyramid out of, unused, fantastic condition. You get a poster, sort of poster, which is absolutely brilliant. You get another, I've got to be careful here because some of this is rude pictures. No, this is not. Another picture here, another sort of like poster thing here. Pictures of the bands who are on the album. And you get this big booklet telling you about Glastonbury Fair. I have to be careful what I show here because there is rude pictures in this. All in, and I mean the vinyls are in mint, as near as mint condition for an album from 72 that you're ever going to find, I believe. There's not a mark on them, all three albums, and they play fantastic without any pops or clicks. This is quite a rare thing to find today, especially with the cover, with the original cover and all the pamphlets that are with it. The standout, there's some standout stuff on here. I mean, you've got Mighty Baby, a brilliant song. Grateful Dead, fantastic. Bowie does Spacemen on here. Pete Townsend does a track. Mark Bolan does a track, does Sunken Rags, which is on this album, and that's recorded from his home. It's just amazing. If you're into Mark Bolan, check that track out, because that's the best version of some rags I've ever heard. So that's that one. It's a fantastic album, absolutely brilliant, and so pleased to get it. And yeah, I had to pay up a little bit for it, but I did not pay anything near what this goes for on Discogs, you know. And like I say, it's mint. It's virtually mint. The cover's got one or two little edges of bird over a bit, but not too bad. But there's no rips in that cover at all, and it's just, I was so pleased to find it. Unbelievable. Right, next is, I still class this as a fairly, it's not an expensive record, but I'd never seen it in the wild before, and I found it in the wild, so I picked it up. I know the album it's a fantastic album, and that is the album Ode to Billy Joe by Bobby Gentry. This is an original 1967 pressing on the Capitol label. Fantastic. Country, it's a little bit of a country album, American country album. We all know Bobby Gentry. I mean, I've seen her shown in the VC before, but this is just fantastic. This is the stereo version. There's also a mono version, which I'm definitely going to be trying to find, but I've never seen it. Like I said, I've only seen this once now in times of my collecting, well, since I've been into Bobby Gentry. It's a great album. Tracks on here, well, we all know it's got Ode to Billy Joe on, which is just a mega song. Don't care what anyone say, it's fantastic. Side one is Mississippi Delta, I Saw an Angel Die, Chickasaw County Child, Sunday Best, Nicky Hoagie. Side two, Papa Won't You Let Me Go to Town With You, Bugs, Hurry, Tuesday Child, Lazy Willie, and Ode to Billy Joe. There's the condition of the cover is a few, you know, it's not brilliant. It's laminated front cover, flip back. I mean, it's all there, it's not ripped. It's a little bit grubby, it needs a clean, which I can do. There's a few little, like that's been bent over, you know. The vinyl itself, there are quite a few superficial marks on both sides, and normally I wouldn't buy it, but what I've found is a lot of these albums from the 60s, they may have a lot of very light marks on them, but I mean, this plays virtually without a pop or a click. It plays amazing. There's no distortion. It's really good. I would say the album itself, you would have to say, is probably only a VG, which normally is not the sort of thing I buy, but when you get these 60s albums, they can still sound absolutely amazing with those marks on. So that's that. I mean, you don't see this about much, or I haven't anyway. Let me know if you come across it a lot or whatever, but I certainly don't. That's Bobby Gentry, Ode to Billy Joe. Next, we have this is a Grateful Dead album, Wake of the Flood, but it's a twofer. This is with Grateful Dead from the Mars Hotel. And again, I'd never seen this before, actually, this twofer before. So on Grateful Dead, the labels are on the Grateful Dead record company label, which is their own label. They were still affiliated to United Artists. It comes on the Grateful Dead label. This is from '77, I believe. When I checked the matrix numbers, you know, on the Dead Wax, you have the original United Artists first pressing number around here that's been crossed out and another number put in on all four sides of both these albums. There's the other album. Now that tells me, well, please correct me if I'm wrong, but I suspect that the original stampers, whatever, were used to press this reissue. Why else would that be on there and then crossed out and another number put in? And it sounds fantastic, and it was cheap, and it's in near mint condition. The cover is a VG Plus, I suppose. It's got dinks here and there, but all there and nice and clean. But the vinyls themselves, not hardly a mark on them, so I don't think it'd ever hardly been played. I'll go through the tracks on here, as we know. Right, side one for the album Wake of the Flood starts off with Mississippi Half Step, Uptown Toledo, Let Me Sing Your Blues Away, Road Jimmy, Stellar Blue. Side two, Here Comes Sunshine, Eyes of the World, Weather Report Suite, Prelude Part 1, Part 2, Let It Grow. From the Mars Hotel track listing is Scarlet Begonias, Ship of Fools, Pride of Guacamonga, Loose Lucy, US Blues, Unbroken Chain, China Doll, and Money Money. Two great Grateful Dead albums there as a twofer, and I like collecting twofers. I don't know what it is about them, but I like them. They're not, I mean, this wasn't expensive at all, this was cheap. It's cheap, so really pleased to have found that one, because I didn't have those Grateful Dead albums, but I have a few. I don't have a great deal of Grateful Dead albums, but really good. Next, oh yeah. So pleased to have found this. It's just a brilliant album, and that's Andy Warhol's Velvet Underground featuring Nico. Now this is a double album compilation that I believe came out in '72. You've got the Andy Warhol pictures there, and when you open it up, oh, what a picture! Yeah, you're gonna get it there. Yeah, you see what I mean? What a iconic picture by Andy Warhol. This is all the best tracks off their albums, and Velvet Underground's albums, and evidently very hard to find today. I remember when I was a kid seeing this about in Woolies and stuff, but not anymore. Like I say, it's a compilation. Right, side one, you have I'm Waiting for the Man, Candy Says, Run Run Run, White Light White Heat, and All Tomorrow's Parties. Side two, Sunday Morning, I Heard Her Call My Name, Femme Fatale, Heroin, Here She Comes Now, There She Goes Again. Side three, Sister Ray and Venus in Furs. And side four, European Sun, Pale Blue Eyes, Black Angel's Death Song, and Beginning to See the Light. Now, the cover is a bit dog-eared. I'll give it a clean. It's a fully laminated cover, which helps, so I'll give it a clean. I mean, it's not too bad. There's pinholes in all four corners, so it's obviously been used as a poster in the past. Someone's put up on a wall. It's on both records that are on the MGM label, and the records themselves are again virtually unplayed. The cover itself is a bit tatty, but I don't understand it because the records themselves are virtually unplayed, and this plays without a pop or crack and sounds fantastic. Well, for a Velvet Underground lo-fi album, sounds fantastic to my ears. It's just a beautiful record. I love it, and hard hard to come across today. So super stoked to have found that. I mean, this month's vinyl finds for me have just been amazing. As we'll see, I've got a couple, three more to show. Next was another extremely cheap album I picked up, and that's Leonard Cohen, I'm Your Man. Oh, this is such a good album. This is such a good album. It's on CBS. It's a first pressing, original pressing from, I want to say, now that's got me in it, 88. And the tracks on here, First We Take Manhattan, Ain't No Cure for Love, Everybody Knows, I'm Your Man, Take This Waltz, Jazz Police, I Can't Forget, and Tower of Song. This is just a great Leonard Cohen album. I don't have a lot by Leonard Cohen, but I'm certainly looking to remedy that. As this was cheap, I'm going to be getting some more, and I see his records about a lot, and they're not that expensive at all. They're quite cheap, a lot of them. I'm sure there are in his discography much more expensive albums, but yeah, this is really good, really good. I really like it, and that's been on my turntable a lot just recently. That one. Okay, next. Right, so pleased to find this. Again, this is a record you do not see about very often. It's not terribly expensive at all, but you just don't see it about a lot. And that's Blake's New Jerusalem by Tim Blake. If you don't know who Tim Blake is, he was a member of Gong, and he appeared on the Flying Teapot trilogy, known as, and later he was in Hawkwind, and I believe he was on the albums Live 79, and I believe he was on the album Levitation. Now, this is a space rock album, but it's much more on the ambient side. It's based on William Blake's poem New Jerusalem, which it was written in 1828, something like that. And that's just fantastic. It's on, this is the original pressing, which was originally released in France on the Egg label. So this is a French pressing on the Egg label. Now he's a keyboard player. And I just got a postcard here that was inside the album, which has nothing to do with this album. It's talking about another album of Tim Blake's called Tide of the Century. But it's just an interesting thing on here. It says here, Tim Blake headlined Glastonbury in the early 80s, surrounded by banks of synthesizers and a stunning light show. This had a profound influence on Jean-Michel Jarre, who developed these ideas onto a world stage. And I mean, this guy is a absolute fantastic keyboard player. It's just, well, another world of it. There's the origin that came with an inner. And this was released in 78, I want to say. Yeah, I think it was 78. 78, yeah, released in 78. And it says here, Tim Blake on EMS custom synthesizers, Roland 100 system, Mini Moog Ovation, and Glissendos guitars, ARP, Omni, Korg polyphonic ensemble, and vocals. Now, there's a guy called Jean-Philippe Reichel on Mini Moog, on a passage Sur la Cité and Blake's New Jerusalem, performed, written, composed, recorded and engineered by Tim Blake, spring to summer, Full Moon 78 at Ridge Farm, Capel, Sussex, and Studio Berkeley, Paris. This is such a good album. If you're into space rocky type more on the ambient side, then you're going to love this. If you like Gong, then you already know who Tim Blake is. That is Blake's New Jerusalem. Actually, this is going to be a segue into something I've never shown, which is one of my prized possessions, which I'm going to show now. If I can find the bloody thing. There we go. I have... Right, sorry. This is going to be a segue into something I've never shown, which is one of my prized possessions, which I'm now going to show. And that's the first pressing of Angel's Egg by Gong, which is part 2 of the Flying Teapot trilogy. And it's on the original white label. I've had this for a long time. This is not new. Angel's Egg. We all know the album probably if you're a Gong fan. Well, it says there, for Chris, Tim Blake. So that's my signed Tim Blake Gong album, that will never ever leave my collection. That's such a prized possession. So this is Tim Blake, New Jerusalem. Check it out. It's hard to find the original, and there is a UK original as well. They're both extremely hard to find, but there are reissued, that has been reissued, and there is a modern reissue that came out last year or something, I believe. Next is a German prog album that I found. I've got to do a shout out here, but I'm not sure who I'm shouting. Well, I think I do. I saw that, I knew nothing about this album at all, and I was watching, I believe it was Andy Edwards' channel. He's a prog drummer, and he does some amazing videos on prog and stuff, and I got into about 6 months ago watching his videos, so I watched them, and he showed this. I'm 99% sure that's where I saw this album on. I knew nothing about the album before that, and that's Plastic People by Birth Control, which are a German prog band. This is from 75, I believe. Let me have a look. Yeah, 75 on CBS. That's on, like, it's got lovely custom labels. This is great. This is a great album, and I need to dive deeper into their discography because they've done quite a lot of albums. This particular one, this never got a UK release. This was only released in Germany, and when I checked it up on Discogs and stuff, there are no reissues. I think there's a CD reissue, but that's it. There are no vinyl, or that I could find on Discogs, vinyl reissues of this. So the only way of getting this is finding an original, and this is in pretty good condition. The cover has got some water stain and sort of going up round there. You can see the walk there. It's a bit battered. It is intact, but it's a little bit battered. But the vinyl's very, very, very good. And I found this on eBay. I bid on it, and I won the auction at a very, very low price. You know, I paid about 18 quid for this, which for me is not, you know, for this, not me, for this, it's not an awful lot of money. I think it goes for a little bit more than that. But even so, it's a fantastic album. I don't know anything else about the band, not heard any of their other stuff, but certainly looking out for it, but I haven't seen it. So I buy very few albums off Discogs. But I bought this one, and I've found on Discogs the last one I'm going to show, which is an upgrade copy for me, because the copy I have of this, the vinyl's in bad shape and the cover is just horrendous, and I have found a really nice minty copy of Moontown, the Golden Earring. Probably Golden Earring's best album. We all know the track Radar Love, but this album is far better than that track. It came in its original, and it's on. Now, the strange thing about this album, which was released in, what, say 73? Was it 73? Yeah, 1973. On Track Records. There are two versions of this album. Originals. You have the UK and US versions are the same, but they have an alternate track listing to the rest of Europe. So in Holland, it's a different track listing. There's 2 tracks removed from here and 2 other tracks put on. In my opinion, this is the version to have. The UK, or I believe the US pressing was the same, but only those 2 countries got this track listing, which is side 1, Radar Love, Candy's Going Bad and Vanilla Queen, and side 2 is Big Tree Blue Sea and Are You Receiving Me. This is a fantastic album, and I believe the Dutch and European versions had definitely Big Tree Blue Sea was replaced by Want to Be Like Vince Taylor. I think that's what's called, Vince Taylor. And I don't think Candy's Going Bad is on it, and they put Susie Lunacy on, which both those tracks are inferior, in my opinion, to the tracks that are on here. This album flows really well. And it's a great album. I mean, it's got Radar Love on it. The vinyl doesn't look like it's hardly ever been played. What it has got, though, and it hasn't affected play in any way, there's a little bit of misting. Now, when I received, because I bought this on eBay, when I received it, it was still in a PVC gatefold cover. And it looked like it's been in that from like new, and that has reacted and has left this chemical misting on the record. It's not very bad, but it's there, you can see it, and it won't come off. You'll never get it off. But it doesn't affect play. I think sometimes if it's really bad, that can do, but this certainly does not affect play. It sounds amazing, and definitely a Golden Earring album to look out for. It's not terribly expensive. I mean, this is a real minty copy, and it still wasn't expensive. Some of their earlier albums can be expensive, like they were called Golden Earrings back in the 60s, and they're good. I don't have any Golden Earrings album. I have a few Golden Earring albums, but their albums, as they get to 78, 79, coming into 1980, are a bit patchy. There are some better ones, like The Naked Truth from the 90s, where they've acoustic set up in a small bar in Holland. There's 3, there's 1, 2 and 3, Naked Truth. They're all fantastic albums. I believe 1 and 2 are on vinyl. I don't have them, but I have CDs, and 3 is only on CD, I believe. but they go through a lot of their older stuff from Golden Earrings and their more famous stuff. So they are 3 albums or CDs, which you can find really cheap to look out for, because they are brilliant. Anyway, that's it for this round of vinyl finds. I hope everyone's good, keeping safe, and I've got to thank everybody who watches my videos. I couldn't believe when I first started this about a year ago I would have the views that I have, and even the subscribers that I have. It's just amazing, and thank you very, very much, guys. I've got to thank everyone who subscribes, and yeah, I will be back soon, and bye everyone.